I'm Bob Page, the Chief Product Officer at Tealium, and I'm really happy to be here today. EMEA has been a very special place for Tealium. Internally, we say that a lot of the folks here in this room are our secret weapon because you give us really interesting ideas well ahead of a lot of the rest of the market. So once we hear the kinds of things that you're trying to do, we have to go build those, right? So we innovate together. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you for taking this journey together. So innovation. Innovation is two things. It's building cool new stuff, but it's also solving customer problems. And when the two are combined, that's something special. That's what I want to talk about. But there's a lot of places we could innovate. There's three themes here that you'll see, you've already seen this morning, and you'll see probably the rest of the afternoon. Real time is important, obviously. It means now. It means while your visitor is interacting with you. It doesn't mean 10 minutes from now. It means now. One of our competitors made an announcement, I think last week, that they were able to get their stitching down from 1 day to 15 minutes. And we all kind of went, 15 minutes? Like, what are you going to do with that? Why go through the trouble of that if you're only going to get 15 minutes? How about a quarter of a second? That's what we do. So real time is live. Hyper-personalized because we want to make sure we're in a place where we have an audience of one, right? Everyone's individualized, everyone's different. We want to reflect that. We also want to build things that are enterprise grade. What does that mean? It works reliably at scale. It integrates well with your existing systems and processes. It provides visibility into how things are working, and it allows you to script and automate Tealium without a web browser. Those are all the kinds of things we think about around enterprise grade. Now, for who? So classically, we have aimed at business users, as you probably know, as marketing specialists, as marketing operations, as analysts. And those are the kinds of things that we've provided for our customers. Now, 4 years ago or so, I've been with the company 3.5 years. So 3 years ago, we would go into meetings, we'd meet with CMOs, we'd meet with business leaders, and they would say, we need this system, we need this solution. We would say, great, and they'd say, we need you to run it, we don't want IT involved. Okay, it's a SaaS application, we can do that. So we would come in and we'd run it. But a funny thing happened. We started to build a first-party data asset that was very important and strategic to the company. Typically, marketing doesn't run big data systems. So IT would kind of peek over the cubicle wall and say, what are you doing? This is something that we're really good at, and we got to put some governance in place, and you know the rest of the story. So IT has become much more important in running this kind of application. So we need to actually do some innovation in the product to support and help our, we'll say our customers, right, who are IT professionals as well. So you'll see some kind of 3 different categories here as I talk through this. The first is just some really cool stuff that we're doing that's sort of universally applicable. The second is things that are geared really towards our business users. Ease of use is a big one, quite honestly. And then third, some of the things that we're doing around for our IT professionals. But before we get into that, I want to show you that as we increase the number of high-value applications and services, we can build these faster and easier if we build on a common base or common infrastructure. Now, we're not building a marketing suite. You heard Jeff this morning say, we're not going up stack. None of our applications require the other, and you're free to mix and match as your needs dictate. But they will all leverage similar infrastructure, standardized design system and one global streaming platform, et cetera, standardized logins, granular permissions, all built on this, global cloud infrastructure with platform security management and all the rest. We have been working, I would say, probably half of our engineering resources for the last 3 years or so on this. It's not something that you buy, it's something that you expect, especially at enterprise scale. It's about time we actually make it visible and we call it out. So we're calling it the Tealium Trust Platform. This is not a new feature. This is just what we do. And then the applications live on top of this. But everywhere from very flexible collection, web, mobile, streaming, batch, file import, databases, SaaS applications, to all the ways we distribute the data, whether it be to send to storage, to analytics systems, to your enhanced conversions, as we heard about from Kingfisher. All of those things are things that are on the sort of distribution side. And that includes all the things like being able to retry when there's errors and all this stuff. All the visibility that you have and observability to know what's going on, what's wrong. Okay, so that, just to settle that's the Tealium Trust Platform. You'll be hearing more about that and seeing more about that. It's not a new product, it's just a thing that we've been doing, right, for a long time that make everything else possible. So, Ali already talked about Moments IQ, Moments API. I'm not going to rehash what those are, but I want to just reintroduce the concept of moments, because for us, moments means real time. So whether it's collecting the zero-party data, or or getting real-time visitor data through Moments API. Ali mentioned the DLE earlier. I know a lot of folks didn't know what it was when he had to raise his hand. He had everybody raise their hands. But I do want to point out that while Moments API ends up being a very, very fast mechanism to get data, we're trying to make it very compatible, I guess we should say, with DLE. So that if anyone's using DLE today and they want to move over to Moments API, it's not a big re-engineering effort. I should probably point out, because I haven't said it, up in the top right, you can see I've got a little timeline for these things and sort of where we are in the development phase or the release phase of each of these projects. I should probably say that all the things I'm going to show you are not product announcements, and this is not a roadmap presentation. I just want to show you some of the innovation that we're doing. It's also not comprehensive. It's not everything. But what I could fit into a 30-minute talk. We're doing a lot of very interesting things. So with that, Moments IQ, Moments API, and Moments AI. We thought, if we're going to do AI, you already heard, we're not an AI company, but we're a feeder of AI. How can we support your needs around doing real-time AI? So show of hands, how many are experimenting or have a chatbot on their site? A few. AI chatbots? A few. Okay, yeah. We are too, in a couple of different ways. We want to make this even more real time. We want to use in-session data to fuel your RAG, your retrieval augmented generation. Jeff showed a very data flow-ish diagram during his talk. So I went up a level and said, here's a potential use case where I don't know how much you can read this, but somebody's surfing or somebody's on the website, and the AI says, the chatbot says, hey, notice you've been looking at bags. Here's one you might like. How did it know that? It knew that from the behavioral information, the live information that it had, obviously a bunch of things that we didn't know about, like the inventory that was in store, and then said, what do you think about this? The user interacts with it, the visitor interacts with it, and says, love it. How about blue? You have something in blue. Well, it can go easily find something in blue that's a bag, et cetera, that use that real-time input. But it's also possible to pull in other kinds of data, preference data, et cetera, and know this user likes free shipping or top brands or you name it. And then say, okay, based on that, I can make you an offer. Now, this isn't Tealium making the offer. This is Tealium feeding this infrastructure to go make it happen. And I know this is a fancy diagram because we're not doing demos on stage, but we are doing demos at the Genius Bar. So if you want to see some of this AI, this real-time AI in action, I encourage you to go to the Genius Bar and see this actually working. Speaking of Tealium Genius, so that's our internal name for our product chatbot. Today, we're using it internally. It's trained on our docs.tealium.com and our knowledge base. It also knows your data layer. Well, it doesn't know yours, it knows ours, but it will know yours when you have it. So you could say, for example, I want to understand more about like the attributes I have around, say, customer lifetime value. And sure, we could build a search engine that looks for the word customer lifetime value, but instead we're using an LLM that goes and understands taxonomy, understands things that are similar, et cetera. And so it could be visitor lifetime value instead of customer lifetime value, and bring you back a list that you can choose from. It's a way actually to get to know your data layer a little bit better. The ultimate goal and vision for this is that it becomes a co-pilot. So rather than you saying, can you tell me how to set up a connector to TikTok, for example, you could instead, and it gives you a list of like, here are the 7 steps you need to take. Instead, you say, hey, please set me up a connector to TikTok. And it goes and executes the 7 steps, maybe by asking you 1 or 2 questions. What's your advertiser ID or whatever it might be. So we're trying to make it actually easier for you to be able to do your job through AI. So let's talk about consent orchestration. Now, we talked a lot about consent in the course of the morning. It's all something we care about and we think about. As we, and you know that we're not a consent management platform, but we integrate with all the leading consent management platforms, whether you're opt-in or opt-out or some hybrid or you've built your own, we can do an integration with it. But many of our customers would say to us, okay, I've collected the consent information, but what do I do with it now? So we think that these consent signals, what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, are kind of an indicator of how the customer feels about the value exchange that they are getting. And clearly we want to improve that so that you're consented, or they're giving you consent to do more with their data because they're seeing value in it. We want to make sure that as you set up policies, that the policies are respected. We want to make sure that the consent that you're being given is being honored. We want to make sure that all the flows throughout all the systems, from collection to filtering and enrichment and all the downstream activation that happens and the storage and everything else, is all orchestrated correctly. So we went and talked to the people who needed this, and which is a lot. I don't mean individual companies. I mean within a company, we found that there are sort of 2 constituents. The policymakers, who think about, they're typically legal people, very high priced. You don't want them touching the implementation, right? But you want them to define the policy. And then you've got the implementers. And these might be your analysts or the folks who are responsible for your tagging on your site, or et cetera. And they're less concerned, shall we say, with the policy itself. They just want to know, well, how should I implement this policy? So our consent orchestration, the way we've described it and the way we've built it out, is built for the policymaker. So the policymaker can sit down and say, these are the conditions under which we want, and I know you can't read the the slides. That's not really the intent. But you want to be able to have the policymaker say, here's how I want the orchestration to happen, and then know, once it's implemented, that it's being implemented well and correctly. This is currently in internal access inside. We're going to be having early access very soon. My hope is it'll be by the end of the summer. Our product manager's here, probably not happy that I just said that. But we're not going to rush it, because if we get it wrong, you're not going to be happy with us. So we're actually doing a lot of work to debug every nook and cranny, before we get it to early access and then to general availability. I previously, one of the things that I've said to a lot of people, some here, is we don't want you to have a doctorate in Tealium to be able to get value from the product. So I want to talk a little bit about user experience. So I just want to show you some of the changes around user experience that we're working on. The first is connectors. I'd say the first is audience management. And we've rolled out our new audience management last year. It's actually fully rolled out as of now to let you do much more complex and or nots, and create segments and have favorites and a lot of things you couldn't do before, and do it at scale reliably. We're continuing that evolution. We've got more audience work that's coming. But I want to talk about the connectors workflow. We've modernized and revamped the marketplace, and we've also revamped the overview of your connectors so you can get more information. And we're also bringing the metrics closer to you with more connector level reporting. So this provides detailed insights at the connector level, allowing you to monitor performance, identify issues quickly, and you'll have a clearer understanding, more clear than you do today, how each connector is performing, enabling better decision-making and optimization. More on the connectors, and that is sort of setting it up, a much more streamlined setup flow for connectors. This is particularly important to our enterprise customers who often deal with very intricate and sometimes delicate configurations. We also understand the importance of efficiency, which is why we've added usability features such as copy mappings. With copy mappings, you can easily duplicate mapping configurations across connectors. This significantly reduces repetitive tasks. It saves you time and minimizes the potential for errors when you're setting up similar connectors. Multiple users. When we created Audience Stream over 10 years ago, we didn't think more than one person at a time would ever want to use it. So I'm happy to say we were wrong. But we don't support multiple users as well as we could, and we are changing that. With input from many of you, thank you, we're producing a set of incremental changes to support multiple users. So with our first release, scheduled for early access this summer, we'll provide detailed information about configuration changes that you need to know when somebody else makes changes at the same time. You can then decide which changes to merge with yours or to ignore, or go call them up and say, what did you mean by this change, or whatever. So at least you'll have that visibility, which you don't have today. We're also introducing a cleaner and more scalable way to see your version history with more information so you can see what's changed among the versions. We've done a good job at this on the client side. On the server side, it has not been as strong. So we're going to be introducing this for both. And rather than the horizontal layout that we have today, it'll be more the vertical, so you could scroll much more and see more detailed history. By the way, I should say that the multi-user work that we're doing, and you'll see this summer in early access, is the first of a number of steps that we're going to take on our path to, I would say, collaboration. So not just allow multiple users to use the product, but allow users across whether it's in the same building in two different cubes or different geographies or different departments, to be able to use Tealium at scale and without stepping on each other. Another user experience change I want to show you is the homepage. I wish I had a more fancy name than the homepage. But what you'll see here is a refined user experience when you first log in. We're going to change the navigation so that it's not product-based like it is today, but more what you want to get done based. So very similar to some of our customers, right? Who want to, instead of a product view, have more of a customer-centric view. So we're going to do that with the navigation. We also think that the user experience should aspire to and reflect our core values of wanting to build experiences that are personalized, that are real-time, and that are data-driven. Our existing interface doesn't meet those requirements to our satisfaction, which is another reason why we're building this. So here's the top of the homepage. You'll notice Tealium Genius is up there, where you can do some searching or connect to it. We'll have a more modern look and feel, obviously new kind of iconography and new colors, et cetera. A little more modern, more professional looking than we have today. There's a drop down that says workspace. You might be able to see that. The intent here is that what you see and how it looks on the page is probably going to depend on what you do or what you need to accomplish in that moment in time. Where you could say, well, I'm a data scientist, so I care about sort of data scientist-y things. So I want to see a view that corresponds to that. Or I'm doing a tag overview today, so I want to look at my tags workspace, if you will. But if you go a little further down the page, we want to be able to use this and show that that you can get more value out of the product. We might know, for example, well, we haven't seen you hook up your CRM yet. So here's a prompt. If you click here, you go into the wizard to let you hook up the CRM system, or you name it, right? Your storage system or your email provider or whatever it might be, so that you can actually build out the use cases that we'll also want to recommend for you. A little further down the page, as sort of visualized here, you've got sort of quick access for things that you do often. And this live view of your data supply chain that's clickable. So if you see a spike in functions usage, for example, click into it, see your list of all the functions, see which one of those functions is off kilter or whatever, see what's executing. And then you see some other modules here, like jump back into where you were before, or an activity feed, again, more towards our vision of collaboration, so you can see what other folks in your organization have done with the profile. What powers this is a configurable homepage with modules that we or you or third parties can develop that you can drag and drop out of our modules into the canvas of the homepage. Now, we don't expect you to do this all the time. We expect you to maybe do this once or twice, right? But the intent here is that we can provide you a sort of configuration-driven experience that's tailored for you and the job that you need to get done at any time. In spite of chatter that you might hear about client-side JavaScript and client-side tags being inferior to server-side tagging, actually, I have heard that. It isn't true at all. So we think that hybrid client and server-side tags are going to be the correct approach moving forward. We created Event Stream for server-side collection many years ago, so we have a lot of experience that the new server-side tagging vendors won't discover for a long time. The combination of our client and server tags and collection, which we call the Event Data Framework, is a very important part of our current product offering. We think of these capabilities that it can provide kind of in a spectrum from, say, 100% focused on the data to 100% focused on the use case. We already have tag management, as you know, sort of clearly in the middle, and we continue to innovate there. We've made some small inroads into the experience layer with Tealium Moments IQ. We're not going to get into the custom content business, but more to gather additional consented visitor data. So I want to tell you about two areas we are researching today, data observability and data governance. With a lot of this happens today within event stream and audience stream. We can move it closer to the point of collection. So with data observability, we want to proactively monitor the profile of the data, the volumes, et cetera. And with data governance, we have the data now being observed, and then we can make sure that it's being collected correctly. There's no leakage of data anywhere. You don't have piggyback tags that are putting stuff on the page, and you've got exfiltration of data, et cetera. So this is an area of research. We'd love to hear your ideas. So please let us know, because we want to tackle some of these things. We haven't started except just sort of understanding what the sort of potential landscape is that we could go after. Very quick note on our cloud data warehouse ecosystem work, particularly interesting to the IT professionals. Our very flexible Snowflake data source is internal access today. We're looking forward to early access very soon. Meanwhile, our Snowpipe streaming connector is in early access today. It sends audience data to Snowflake in near real time, as real time as Snowflake allows. It's in early access today, and it will be GA later this month. We are proud of the fact that we're the first CDP with a connection to Snowpipe streaming. Initial benchmarks from Snowflake and from our early access customers, and Jeff kind of almost gave this away during his talk, indicate somewhere between a 50 to 90% cost savings on ingest to Snowflake using our Snowpipe connector over traditional bulk load solutions. Once the Snowflake inbound and outbound are settled, we're going to move to Databricks next. We are going to be introducing a significant overhaul to an expansion of our APIs that cover much more functionality than we do today. Many of these things are already ready to go, but I've held them up because we want to actually unify the way that they're accessed, a unified approach to things like authentication, authorization, naming, rate limits, and all the sort of fun things that we need to do. We'll also be releasing a developer portal with documentation and examples. The focus remains the same. We still want to allow enterprises to get the most out of Tealium, but in this case, it's by scripting and automating things that would otherwise be done via the web. This is coming later this year. And then, lastly, we released the connectors dashboard earlier this year as part of our Tealium Trust platform. It provides endless possibilities for monitoring connector performance. But many of our customers are using commercial APM, SEIM infrastructure, like think Splunk or Datadog or Sumo Logic, to capture, correlate, monitor, alert, and report on issues that are critical to their performance. So later this year, we will provide a facility to stream the logs out of Tealium, errors, notifications, auditing information to these endpoints. We're going to use our tried and true battle-hardened connectors infrastructure to deliver these streams. It will allow Tealium to be observed with all the other enterprise tools in a single pane of glass, lowering the IT burden of managing Tealium at scale as part of their critical infrastructure. So it means enterprise customers will be able to answer questions like, who edited the main profile this week? Or why are we suddenly seeing a surge in connector errors to vendor X? So coming later this year. So with that, I'm out of time. I just wanted to say thank you. We're very excited about these features and these innovations. We think they'll keep Tealium at the forefront, and we're committed to innovation that meets customer needs. My ask of you is to stay engaged with us as we bring forward these new solutions, whether it be through your customer success manager, our in-app ideas portal, our customer and product advisory boards, the Tealium community, or a rant to me on LinkedIn at 3 a.m. No matter the method, we love hearing from you. We love working with you. We love solving your needs. We love the challenges that you send to us, and we love innovating with you. I'm really excited about our journey together, so I can't wait to see what we do. Thank you.